Good evening and welcome to the 6 p.m. City Council meeting of October 21st, 2025. Please note that all council members are present. However, Councilmember Chaburka is online. Can you say hello, Councilmember?
Hello.
Hi there. I'm going to turn the time over to Vice Chair Heyer and the introduction.
Yes, sure. Thank you so much. Oh, I think there we go. I think I'm on now. We have a special treat tonight. We have a scout troop that is here that is going to help us with our opening ceremony, Pledge of Allegiance. They worked through Councilmember Graff to get hooked up with us. This is Troop 1017. 1071? 1071, okay. My dyslexia kicked in there, sorry. And we have a young man, Griffin Gerhardt, is going to actually lead us in the pledge. And they are here working on their communication merit badge, but we want them after the pledge. If you would just take a minute at the mic and each just introduce yourself, that would be a treat for us. So, Griffin, if you could come forward and help us.
Maybe get them all up here, maybe?
Sure.
Yeah, all of them can come.
Yeah. Love to have you come up. The rest of you guys are still sitting down, so why don't you get up and follow your leader up here.
Hey.
Right there. Right at the microphone.
Right at the microphone right there.
If you'll please stand and repeat the Pledge of Allegiance with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Audience may be seated.
Don't go anywhere.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Go ahead. And Griffin, do you want to tell us your name and what badge you're getting?
I'm Griffin Gerhardt, and I have currently the Scout badge.
Nice.
Hello, it is nice to meet you all. I am Cajo Gasway. I am working on my Eagle Scout.
Oh, nice.
All right. Way to go.
Hello. It's nice to meet you all. I don't really know what badge I'm working on. I just joined Scouts.
It's Scout.
It's Scout. Yeah.
What's your name?
I'm Andrew.
Yeah, Andrew. Thank you.
Nice to meet you all. I'm Lucas Bird. I am currently working on first class rank.
Nice.
My name's Isaac Chow. I'm currently working on Eagle.
Nice.
And he's Order of the Arrow.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm William Rasmussen, and I too am working on Eagle.
Awesome.
I'm Lucas Rasmussen, and I'm working on Star.
It's okay. Your name first.
What?
Just your name.
Sebastian Carbon.
Hi, Sebastian. What, are you working on a badge?
I think.
Okay. That's awesome.
It is really good to see you guys in your uniforms. Thanks for coming tonight, and thanks for leading us in the pledge.
Thank
you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
All right. Next on the agenda is a moment of silence. If you could take a moment of silence with me, that would be awesome. Thank you. Up next is acknowledgements. Before we get started, I just want to say a quick acknowledgement is, we had an incident this past week with a young woman, and I just, coming on the heels of the YCC Family Crisis Center being here last week, I just wanted to once again reach out and make sure that people know there's places to go. Their services are free and confidential, and if you are in any domestic violence type situation, their phone number is plainly on their website, or I can give it to you. It's 801-392-7273. So just wanted to make sure that we again acknowledge that things can happen in our community. With that, then, we can turn over to acknowledgements. We have on our list is acknowledgement of Dennis Miller. He has been a volunteer at the Utah State University Ogden Botanical Gardens. Councilmember Ritchie.
Thank you, Chair. I appreciate the opportunity to share this acknowledgement. I think most are familiar with the botanical gardens in Ogden, and if you have any youth going to high school, that's a common place for prom pictures. And I think it's a hard to find even parking anywhere around there, but it's all because of the beautiful work that's being done there. So Dennis Miller has been a devoted volunteer at the Ogden Botanical Garden since 1994, while he was working in his while he was working on his degree through Weber State through the facility grounds crew member, and he joined the Master Gardener program. And he was the only Weber State representative that year. So for 30 years, he has been a cornerstone of the diagnostic clinic, helping residents diagnose and solve landscaping challenges with patience, expertise, and dedication. This year alone, Dennis has contributed 110 and a half hours, bringing his lifetime total to nearly 1,914 hours, which is incredible. And is the first master gardener to volunteer for 3 decades. His passion for trees is evident in the many he has planted and cared for, including the monkey puzzle tree, recognized as Utah State's champion since 2007. Dennis's legacy is deeply rooted in the Ogden Botanical Gardens and across Utah's living landscape. And I see a lot of familiar faces out in the back corner there, and appreciate you all being here to support Dennis. And with that, I just think maybe can we do a round of applause for Dennis for that? Thank you. And Dennis, can you come up and just say a few words and with this? He's got some of the most well-trained dogs as well in Utah.
I've gained more than I've ever given by being a part of that organization down there. I've got a great team of diagnosticians and really appreciate all of them, and couldn't do it without them. So met a lot of new friends. I even gained a wife out of this master gardening program.
You're growing wives over there?
Yeah. So
yeah, that's terrific.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dennis.
We have something to present. Do you mind coming on up? And sorry, I didn't realize we had an item there. So come on up and let's make this presentation.
Hi, I'm Andrea Pettit. I am a horticultural professor with USU Extension. I work very closely with the Ogden Botanical Gardens, running the Master Gardener program. Fairly new, but I'm sure you'll see a little more of me as we go along. Since Dennis has been there for 31 years, we wanted to present on the behalf of our gardens this little plated rose. It's 24 karat, and it's a real rose that has been dipped and will remain forever gold, is what the certificate of authenticity says. So we would like to present this to you, Dennis.
Wow. All right.
Nice, thank you.
Thank you, Dennis, and thank you everyone for being here.
I experienced his monkey puzzle tree. Thank you.
Monkey tree?
Yeah, thanks for that. It's pretty cool. All right, thank you. Next on our list is the Community Planning Month. Vice Chair Heyer.
Yes, Chair, thank you. October is Community Planning Month, and we do have some honored guests with us today. We have our some Ogden City Planning Commission members. Those of you who are here from the Planning Commission, stand up if you would, because we are here to honor you. Ogden has done what it's done especially well because of the work that they They do the deep dives on all of these things that they send to or anything relating to land use. They work with our planning staff and do a lot of work. There are 9 of you. Yeah, 9 of you? Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So, but we have 3 tonight. So, but thank you for coming, you guys. And I wanted to kind of single you guys out while you were here. Even our staff is we're treated with Deputy Director Symes, who has a planning background, and let's see, what are you, Steve? You're a policy analyst, Burton. Is also got a pretty deep planning background. So we on the council benefit a lot from that planning knowledge, and so wanted to thank you for that. So you can sit down while I go into the rest of this, but thanks for being here. It says October 2025 is Community Planning Month. This is a critical moment to celebrate how our community is deciding the future of Ogden. Facing the significant growth of the Wasatch Front, Ogden's planning efforts are vital. Good planning is how we manage this expansion while actively building a more livable and well-designed community. Planning is, at its heart, a collaborative process driven by the public. I want to offer a sincere community-focused thank you to the dedicated people leading this vital work. Planning Division staff, thank you for your professional commitment, data-driven insights, and dedication to tackling complex issues like housing availability and infrastructure investment. The Planning Commission members, your volunteer service is the foundation of our long-term vision. We appreciate the countless hours you spend reviewing proposals, listening to the community, and ensuring development aligns with the public good. Our planning teams are focused on generational projects that will define Ogden's next 50 years. These are community plans driven by extensive public outreach. We have Plan Ogden, which is the general plan. We are finalizing our city's visionary blueprint. The draft reflects countless hours of workshops, surveys, and neighborhood meetings. And focus areas include housing options, open spaces, and economic growth. And then we also have Zone Ogden, the new development code. This is the code that turns the Plan Ogden vision into reality. The team is modernizing our outdated zoning laws. Goals make rules clearer, more predictable, and directly tied to the future, as we all helped to design. And 3, station area planning, transit-oriented development, which we're having a lot of that in Ogden now, is focused on strategic development around our major transit hubs, Ogden Front Runner Station and the OGX bus stops. This vital work ensures these areas become vibrant, walkable, mixed-use and mixed-use districts. The goal is to maximize economic opportunity and connectivity across the Wasatch Front. We have corridor and district plans. This work requires intensive, complex, multi-jurisdictional coordination. We align local feedback with partners like UDOT, neighboring cities, and regional planning organizations. The team is working diligently to deliver cohesive, high-quality projects for the direct benefit of Ogden residents. Daily implementation and permit review, just as critical as large plan is the day-to-day plan and permit review. This essential function ensures every single new building, renovation, and subdivision complies with our community's long-term vision and standards for safety, quality, and aesthetics. Community Planning Month reminds us that that planning is a shared responsibility. A well-planned city, one that is shaped by public input, delivers a better quality of life, from safer streets to thriving local businesses. Thank you again to everyone involved in building a stronger, more beautiful city. As you can tell, it's an involved process which is important that we have good volunteer people as well as people that are on our staff that know this stuff. So thank you all to those who participate to make Ogden better, and we salute you for your service. And can we give a little round of applause? And Chair, I might add that they largely do this without much compensation. So at least the commissioners do. I think we do pay our staff, or they probably wouldn't come to work, but the commissioners do a lot of this just because they care.
Yeah. Thank you.
And just Commissioner Southwick and Shinoda and there it went. Shale, Mandy,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Just went blank. Please carry our appreciation back to your other commissioners that aren't here tonight as you go to your meeting tomorrow night. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, you guys. All right, next on the agenda is approval of minutes. The joint work session of September 2nd, 2025, and the joint work session of September 16th, 2025. Councilmember Chaburka.
Yes, I've read those and they're accurate.
All right, in the regular meeting of September 2nd, 2025, Councilmember Ritchie.
Yes, Chair, I read those. Also, the other minutes as well on accident because I missed, anyway, but they're accurate to the best of my knowledge, so.
The regular meeting of September 16th, 2025, Councilmember Myers.
Yes, Chair, I've read those minutes, and they are accurate to the best of my knowledge.
And the joint work session of September 17th, 2025, Councilmember Blair.
Yes, Chair, I have reviewed those minutes and found them to be correct, and I would make a motion that we approve the minutes.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Blair, second by Councilmember Ritchie. This is to approve the minutes. This is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we'll move right along here. We have two consent items. One is for the Utah Renewable Communities Agency Board appointment, appointing Dave Graff to the Utah Renewable Communities Agency Board, and this is the next one is the Ogden City Arts Advisory Committee appointment, and appointing Daniel Jenny to the Ogden City Arts Advisory Committee.
Chair, I'd make a motion that we adopt the consent items as listed.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Ritchie, second by Vice Chair Heyer. These two are a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that passes.
Chair, can I just say thank you to Councilmember Chaburka for all of her years and effort putting into that committee, and good luck to Dave because it's a lot of work, and I know that Council Member Chaburka has spent a lot of time in that. So,
Thank you. Yeah, thanks so much.
And is the appointment from the Arts Committee, is Daniel here? Okay. All right. Moving on, reports from the Planning Commission, public arts projects for fiscal year 2026. Lori Buckley.
Looks like
Chair, may I just mention, sometimes the sound is dropping out, so I sincerely apologize if for some reason I missed something.
Okay, great, thanks.
Good evening, council members, Chair White, Mayor Nodelsky, and Mara. Thank you for having me here today. Tonight we're here to discuss the ordinance that is for the public art, which is 2025-33, and the resolution for this particular public art project, which is resolution number 2025-20. So we have a new public art project coming online. We're asking for approval tonight for an Olympic-themed mural along Kiesel Avenue. There we go. Okay. Okay. Our project overview is this project is a total of a $210,000 project, but it is a collaboration between multiple entities. So we have a partnership with Weber County Ramp, where I wrote for Thank you. Supporting grant funding that has been awarded. We have Visit Ogden, Snow Basin, Market Star, and the Market Star Foundation, along with public art dollars, all contributing to this project. It will celebrate our upcoming 2034 Winter Olympics, but also highlight Ogden's culture and identity in the thematic imagery that will be shown on the mural. It is a key connector point between our Junction District, the Ogden Amphitheater, and historic 25th Street, so it is a really good location for this mural to be placed so that we can increase our walkability score there on that alley there. And we think that this mural will be a symbol of local pride. It will add to our cultural history and give us global visibility with the Olympics. So here's our budget broken down. We do have a total. So it's $110,000 out of the public art fund, but that total realistically will be only $87,500 if all of our proposed donations come through. So Weber County ramp is $62,500. That is secured. Market Star, we're just putting $15,000 in kind for the location of the wall of their building, the parking garage. And then they the Market Star Foundation offered $2,500 in cash. Visit Ogden has offered $10,000, Snow Basin $10,000. And that budget, the city public art budget, includes $25,000 to install mural lighting on the big, large panels on the parking garage. So we are expecting this mural to have enhanced pride for our Ogden community and Weber County residents, attract visitors from local counties and Salt Lake residents. It will give Ogden a spotlight for the 2034 Winter Olympics, increase tourism, strengthen our downtown economy, and give new social media hotspots for selfies and whatnot. So long term, we're looking at this mural to be one of a landmark mural, kind of like our rodeo mural that's over on 24th Street. And it will just add to our growing mural collection and art, the art scene here in Ogden. So here's a little map just showing the location. So you can see the dotted line running through the Junction District. The mural will live on the entire west side of the parking garage along Kiesel Avenue, and that is our connectivity point between the biggest, most active districts of downtown, which is the Junction District and the historic 25th Street. Here is just an example. Many cities who host the Olympics will install Olympic-themed murals. This is a really excellent example of one that was installed by Rio de Janeiro for the Summer Olympics that they hosted. And so the action needed tonight is for you to consider approving proposed resolution 2025-20 as well as ordinance 2025-33 for the public art for fiscal year 26. Do you have any questions?
Any questions?
No?
Councilmember Chaburka, are you good? I just didn't know if she's
Maybe
cutting in and out. That's why I'm.
Okay.
Chair, I do have a question. Yeah. On this mural wall right here, where there's all those open spaces for light inside of the parking area, is it intended that those open areas will still be open?
Yes. That has to stay open, I think, for just like ventilation and daylight coming in there. Those will stay open. The paint will actually be installed on all the just like concrete areas. And so the bulk of the mural is the two big flat solid panels with, it'll either be color or shapes or something like just like coordinating thing that goes along with the large panels, the two large panels. And we will be installing lights that actually on the very top, they'll hang over and shine down on those two large portions of the mural.
What construction or what kind of in-kind donation will Market Star be doing then?
They have agreed to a public art easement to install the lighting. So we're paying for the lighting, but they're allowing us to hook into their power and have agreed to a small annual fee to contribute to the power bill. The Market Star Foundation is contributing $2,500 towards the project, and then they did give up the west side of their building to be, part of the project.
Good, thank you.
I think, the Chair, can I ask another question? In the work session, you talked about there not being a sidewalk below that. And so, that's not part of this, but as far as making this a Instagrammable location and this for the safety of people traveling through that area, has there been any discussions about adding sidewalk to there, and how does that look?
There hasn't been and I think is that Streets who would be in charge of installing? I think that is. I did talk to someone there, and they said we're not required to put sidewalk on both sides of the street, and so they didn't see it necessary. But I think that would be something to heavily consider because then now it will be like things people will walk up to, and I have actually seen multiple people come out of the parking garage and try to navigate down the rocks on that side of the road. So you do have a lot of pedestrians coming out of there after they're parking, and I think it might be something the city could consider looking into.
Other questions?
Mayor?
Okay, can I add to that response? There may be concerns too related to pedestrians walking and the blind exit and entrance of the garage. So we would want to have professional eyes on it before we did something like that.
That's true. That's true. If you're just walking along the sidewalk and not watching for the openings, that could definitely be a area of problem.
Is that any different from the junction parking though? Maybe there's a little bit more of it's a little wider.
The sidewalk's
area.
much wider. Yeah. Yes, the sidewalk's like more than double what that sidewalk would be.
Okay. Any other questions?
All right.
All right.
Thank you, council members.
All right. Let's take these two actions and then do the presentation on the next one, if that's okay, just so that we can.
Public input on that? Yeah.
Okay, Chair, then.
There's no public input on. Oh,
no.
I'm sorry. Yes, there is public input. I'm sorry. Thank you. We have public input on these two items regarding the mural on the Olympic mural on the side of the building.
Laura Lewis, I always have something to say. That seems like a safety hazard. That was the first thing I thought of. If there's no sidewalk, and somebody even brought it up at the last meeting that people could stand in front of that to take pictures. So there is no place to stand, if that's the motive. I mean, it just doesn't seem like a safe location for that sort of thing. Not that it isn't a good idea.
All right. We have a couple of hands online. Heath Sato.
Hi there, Heath Sato, Ogden resident. I went through the packet on this, and since this is being done a little bit differently than a lot of our other public art projects here, I just wanted to see if this was going through the normal art committee process like all our other public art, or if that's being bypassed in some way. Just wanted some clarity on that. Thanks.
All right, and looks like Linda's iPhone.
Linda Sanchez. My request is that whatever we put on there, that it could be something to unify us, because I feel like our country needs things to unify us. And that includes, everyone. So, and I know that this will be for like a global. So, if we could just be mindful that it just seems like everything that is patriotic or American has kind of been pushed to be not a good thing anymore. And for me, that's a sad situation, because that's the only thing, the American flag and what our forefathers did so that we could have what we have now. There's nobody else that has a constitution and stuff like that that has lasted. So if there's something that we could do to unify us and then also unify others, that would be my request, if we could request a picture to indicate that.
Okay. Any others? All right, Lori, if you'd come back up just real quick and answer at least, we'll start with Heath's comment about the public art process.
This is the standard public art process, so we usually propose the project, go through the approval for the executive directors, through planning, the Arts Advisory Committee, come to you, and after that's done, we release an RFQ to look for an artist. So this is the standard as per ordinance public art process that we're following.
Okay, great.
While you're there, we asked a question in the work session about the content of that. To go to Linda's point, it's going to be Ogden-centric, kind of point
Yes.
to that kind of thing.
Yes,
So
we will
talk about that.
craft that RFQ as, and I love that comment, that it's unifying for all community members, something of pride that, Ogden can be proud of, but also reflect Winter Olympic theme. And so I think that should be really easy content to have an artist complete there.
Great. Thank you.
Anything else?
No, I think my other comment is I don't think that we need to necessarily not go forward with this, but do think that we need to look at the safety aspects of that road in general, if that's going to be a through.
I don't think the mural is going to affect the safety of the road. It's discussion of the sidewalk, and if people want to walk up to it, it's not a heavily traveled road, so I don't think we're going to have issues with people navigating across to look at the mural, and you can fully see it clearly, and if you're trying to photograph it, it actually would photograph better from the sidewalk side because it's going to be so large. So I don't foresee that actually being a problem unless we made a selfie point, which we talked about a little bit in work session, but the details of that are kind of pie in the sky right now. I don't know if there's utilities under those rocks or what we're looking at to actually make any improvements there, so that is.
Okay.
The photo that you had as a sample, it was from the one end, and a skinny little street like Kiesel. If you're gonna get it all, you're gonna have to do it that way.
Yes.
So that Kodak moment banner kind of a thing might be on both ends. That might be the best place for something like that.
And you would be on the sidewalk side taking those photos.
On the sidewalk side, yeah.
Yes.
For sure.
Yeah.
And I like the idea of doing that.
Yeah. Me too.
Yep.
All right. Any other comments or questions for Lori?
My one comment is I think it's a great idea we want to unify people and Olympics, Ogden. Hopefully those are things we can all get behind and join our arms around that. The safety concerns is that, but I also, as part of the kind of the planning, Olympic planning, I don't know what we even call it right now, but this was discussed as potentially the first to market with anything in Utah Olympics related, and so just so cool to be out ahead of it and showing that we are forward looking. We're not just waiting for the Olympics to happen here. We're actively preparing for it.
Yep. Proactive, not reactive.
All right.
You ready for motion?
Uh-huh.
Chair, I would then make a motion that we adopt proposed ordinance 2025-33.
We have a motion by Vice Chair Heyer, second by Councilmember Myers, to adopt proposed ordinance 2025-33. This is a roll call vote.
Councilmember Blair.
Aye.
Councilmember Chaburka.
Aye.
Councilmember Graff.
Aye.
Councilmember Myers.
Aye.
Councilmember Ritchie.
Aye.
Vice Chair Heyer.
Aye.
Chair White.
Aye, that passes.
Chair, I'd make another motion that we adopt proposed resolution 2025-20.
Second.
We have a motion by Vice Chair Heyer, second by Councilmember Blair to adopt proposed resolution 2025-20. This too is a roll call vote.
Councilmember Chaburka.
Let's circle back around.
Councilmember Graff.
Aye.
Councilmember Myers.
Aye.
Councilmember Ritchie.
Aye.
Councilmember Blair.
Aye.
Councilmember Chaburka.
Aye.
Vice Chair Heyer.
Aye.
Chair White.
Aye, that passes. Good deal. All right, thanks, Lori. All right, next is also a report, excuse me, from the Planning Commission, a presentation on the proposed Wall Avenue corridor plan. Looks like we have Jacob here tonight.
All right, thank you for allowing me to be here. I'm Jacob Farnsworth with Kimley Horn, the consultant here helping Ogden City. So today we'll just be presenting on the Wall Avenue corridor plan, where we are at this point and where we are headed. So first, there's a vision for Wall Avenue, and just high level, it's to better connect Union Station to 25th Street, serve as a multimodal corridor, and to also reduce vehicle speeds through the downtown, enhance pedestrian safety, and create a consistent character between the neighborhoods and the Union Station neighborhood and beyond with the roadway itself. And so, as we know, Union Station has a plan to do some major development, as seen in this picture here, with mixed-use development, transit-oriented development, maintaining museums and the culture and the history in this area. And so some of those concepts that were developed prior to the start of this Wall Avenue corridor plan was some of these concepts that you see here: open space, more pedestrian amenities. And then here you also see street level shopping, places to gather, and different concepts that have been proposed. And this kind of was a preliminary figure that was put together as part of the Union Station of what Wall could look like. And so with that, there was some goals that were developed. A lot of these dealt with how do we get safe crossings of pedestrians on Wall Avenue? How do we make it a much better multimodal corridor? And how do we integrate the variety of land uses that are expected to come in future years? With that, this project between Ogden City and UDOT was proposed and is in progress. And the purpose of this project is to advance that vision through analysis of traffic to determine what opportunities are there, what are the limitations of some of those, and if some of these opportunities are actually feasible, and then to provide UDOT with the technical foundation that they would need to feel comfortable with future changes to Wall Avenue, as it is a UDOT maintained and operated roadway. So our approach to this project was to first analyze existing conditions of the road, to look at various things from the current traffic conditions to safety concerns, crashes, pedestrian, other plans that have been in place and what they suggested, and then to develop some scenarios through of how we could potentially plan and vision this corridor, done with the help of the advisory committee, and then develop a concept. And then once those concepts were developed, to get engagement from a variety of folks, and we'll show those here, but using that engagement from various entities from UDOT and the city and the public and other planning organizations to refine those concepts and provide analysis to of how those concepts would perform. And then lastly, to create a draft and final plan related to Wall Avenue based on all the concepts and analysis, and then take that plan to come to a corridor agreement with UDOT. So that's the approach that we've been taking. So stakeholders that we've engaged Ogden City, a variety of folks within the planning department, the engineering department, planning commission, city council, also UDOT. There's been several meetings with UDOT, and they've been a part of the advisory committee also. UTA, Utah Transit Authority, WFRC, the Wasatch Front Regional Council, which is a regional council for planning from Salt Lake Valley all the way up to Brigham City, and kind of more of the regional planning. We've had several public meetings to get the public input. And then from our side as consultants, Kimley Horn, Design Workshop, and J. Fisher Companies. And Design Workshop and J. Fisher has been involved with the planning of several of these visionary union planning documents, station area plans, so they were key also. So areas that we focused on was how do we calm traffic? How are there things that we can do to reduce speeds? What's the vehicle capacity? What would be the impact or the changes based on various concepts? Analyzing traffic and looking at all road users, making sure we're not forgetting anyone in this process, and then also getting input from the community and UDOT. One of the things that we heard early on as we went through this process from UDOT was this is a major north-south corridor and we needed to maintain mobility through this corridor. That reducing lanes or removal of a lane in the north-south direction was something that UDOT was not willing to consider. And then also needed to consider the impacts that Union Station development would have. And then also as one of UDOT's major concern is they're always looking at safety of all their road users and making sure that is considered. So that was early input that we got from UDOT. So doing that, going through this process that I talked about, we came up with several concepts to consider. High level one that is a pedestrian overpass where you have a bridge that people could walk up and over Wall Avenue, and you can see what this could look like to get to the other side to kind of eliminate that barrier that Wall Avenue is. This does have a lot of improvements from pedestrian safety if the pedestrians are willing to use the bridge. Some of the cons, and one of the reasons this one didn't move very far out of this stage is those long 250-foot ramps needed to maintain ADA accessibility and grade would potentially eliminate significant on-street parking and also kind of access to potential current or future businesses along the street. It would also require the elimination of trees, amenity zones, and would make it so we couldn't do much with bicycle infrastructure. And so this concept was eliminated early on. Another one that was looked at, as you can see here, is creating a bypass tunnel to create a pedestrian plaza in the area. And so the first concept we looked at was completely undergrounding both lanes in both directions. And this kind of shows what those grades would be. You could tie this in before or after 26th and 24th Street, but kind of the significance of the impact that would have. And then as that went along, that was refined, that concept to be more of a bypass where you still maintained one travel lane at ground level and one below grade. And so it definitely does improve safety, creates more opportunities for the use of that roadway space, but it would eliminate any left bounds turns between 24th and 26th, a lot of elimination of vehicle access, major utility impacts and relocation. There's, due to the high water table, consistently dewatering it, very costly and a long implementation time. And so that was one of the alternatives that looked at, one that was considered favorably, but understanding that this would be a long time coming before this one could get implemented. The next was considered what we call a traffic calming boulevard concept. So traffic calming is implementing features that don't change the vehicle capacity, but make the driver feel that they need to slow down and travel at the speed limit to improve safety. And part of that, creating bulb outs, narrowing the lane widths by a foot, and creating this center median that was not opened at any point between 24th and 27th Street. So some of the pros, again, because there's less area to cross, improved pedestrian safety, you're able to improve, in general, the overall active transportation aspects and greater opportunity for trees, for landscaping. It would increase the travel time slightly because cars would feel the need to go slower. You would eliminate lefts on and off of 25th Street, and you wouldn't be able to have on-street parking. The next one is also a calming traffic measure. The same things, you have bulb outs, you have medians for refuge, but this one also focused on the addition of a bike lane. And so as you can see here, on the west side, you're able to get some on-street parking. You have those narrow lanes, but then also adding some sort of bike facility, and then also increasing those amenities. So you maintain that vehicle capacity, you improve pedestrian safety and active transportations, higher vegetation, and also due to those traffic calming measures, vehicles tend to travel slower. So mobility north-south would increase, and there would be less parking than some of the other alternatives that included parking on both the east and west side. Another one that was looked at was another traffic calming measure, which involved medians and a shared use path. So how this one differs is, because the idea behind this one from the input that we received is that wall is not intended, based on the city planning, to be the main bicycle north-south corridor. And so you add a shared use path that is off the roadway that bicycles could use, but it's not your main commuter route. And so as you can see here, they have the shared use path much wider, striped to allow both bicycles and pedestrians on the west side. You have parking on both sides, so as businesses develop, they're able to have some on-street parking. And again, you get all those traffic calming measures. So you maintain the vehicle throughput, but they do travel slower. Again, improved safety for cars, pedestrians, bicyclists. And it's, of all the alternatives, this is the one that would likely be able to have a quicker implementation time. And one of the goals that we were told to look at is what could potentially be implemented within the next 5 to 10 years, so that they could have something in place now as Wall Avenue develops over these next coming years. And then one of this is, there are some spots where you wouldn't be able to have vegetation due to the right-of-way constraints and some of those historic buildings being closer to the roadway. And so that was, as we talked with the advisory committee and we presented, this right here shows that last one, this last concept of the traffic calming with median and shared use path. As a preferred concept, we're able to maintain vehicle access, left and right turns at all these intersections, have pedestrian refuge. You bulb out these medians so there's less time they spend in traffic lanes. There's an ability, should pedestrian mid-block crossings be warranted in the future, to add those, as you can see, between 26th and 25th, and also between 25th and 24th Street. And so that's kind of the near term preferred concept that we've come at. This one just shows what would happen or what that could look like if the 24th Street Bridge, which is a long-term preferred desire of the cities, was dropped down and be able to tie into Wall Avenue, showing that intersection there also. And then, based on this, some of what we believe, and as we've studied and analyzed this, the benefits is we are able to maintain the current number of travel lanes and this current capacity. We are able to, through lower speeds, through design changes, to improve safety for the vehicles. Wall Avenue is one of the high in the Salt Lake, Ogden area, one of the high corridors from a safety issue. It's one of those identified hotspots. Also improve pedestrian safety as the pedestrian traffic grows with development by increasing those crossings, providing those medians as a refuge and a protection. And it also just improves the environment all around for the active transportation users, pedestrians, bicyclists. And it is consistent with the future land uses that are proposed along the corridor, not only at the Union Station, with Electric Alley and the various things, and would help promote the development that is desired to create this as an extension of Ogden's downtown. So here, this image just shows, this is looking on the west side at Union Station, looking north to 25th Street. You can see that large car is on-street parking. You can see the medians, the two travel lanes, a concept of what that shared use path with biking and access walking would be, and kind of how that intersection could look a little different. This is showing what a mid-block crossing, so this is looking south towards 25th Street, so from between 25th and 24th, what a mid-block crossing. Due to the traffic volumes not shown here, there would need to be a pedestrian signal that would need to be coordinated to ensure that pedestrians weren't blocking vehicle access consistently, that they were allowed to cross at a coordinated, and likely that would, should it be implemented, would be done when warranted with pedestrian demand at the location. So again, this is another high-level overview of what this concept would look like, allowing the changes and creating more of that connection between Union Station, Wall, and 25th Street. So where we are now at the process is we have presented this preferred concept to UDOT. We've presented our traffic analysis, and they have some concerns that we are working to address. And one of their main concerns, the first two bullets here, is that Wall is a major regional corridor and they need to maintain that north-south mobility. They don't want, besides natural, level of service reduction, they understand that as traffic increases in the area, just naturally how it occurs, but they're looking at how to minimize that reduction of level of service at the intersections, how to maintain that capacity, and to see if those slower travel times are acceptable. There are also concerns about the number of crossings created by the pedestrians, and also in some of our analysis we provide, due to the high transit nature of the area, we calculate how many trips a development like the Union Station is expected to generate, but there's reductions based on historic and national numbers and what we see here locally, some of the vehicle trips being reduced because they use transit instead. And then they're also looking and concerned that we're making sure we're providing that balance between all road users, and that those trade-offs, which there are trade-offs, that those balance and consider all of the road users. So that's my presentation. I can answer any questions, or I believe it goes to the Brandon. Was there anything else you wanted to? Okay.
All right, great. Is there any questions for Jacob? I'll start with one that I brought up in the work session, and I'm still, I don't see it as a concern on here, but as someone that tried to park my car on Washington Street, or Washington Boulevard, dear goodness, this weekend, and maybe it's because I'm not a very good parallel parker. I don't think parking is or should be allowed on that street. I think there's other ways to do traffic calming or to slow things down. I know we need the parking where we should be able to do that, but maybe we need to look at other areas to park cars in. I just don't think that there should be parking, so I would like that as a concern just from my standpoint. And even if we did have parking there, people still are going 40 miles an hour. I mean, just to even get out of your car might be a safety issue as well. So.
Yes, and that's, since we last met with you, is something that we've looked at and considered. And I guess the 2 points, and Brandon added these slides to, this is kind of what it is today and what it could look like. And one of the things, 2 points that we would make is, with these traffic calming measures, cars would naturally slow down and go a lot slower than the current speeds that they are. And that's why we do these type of traffic calming measures that have nationally been studied and researched and shown to reduce vehicle speeds. But one of the things we talked about and are looking into is potentially making the median a little bit smaller to allow a wider parking width greater than the standard, so you have a little bit more room to feel a little bit more comfortable. So that's something we have.
I got an idea. Why don't you come ride with me for a minute, and we'll park on Washington a couple of times.
I do. I'm a local, and
I just don't think it's the right thing. I understand what it is. I understand that it moves it in, but I turned off at 26th Street, tried to park right in front of one of the buildings right out front, and there is literally I don't even know, 30 feet down the road is a pedestrian cross. And so not only what the people that were driving were paying attention to that, weren't paying attention to me trying to parallel park. I don't think it's the right thing to be doing, but I'd like it to be looked at a little bit more or closer.
Okay, we will note that.
Jacob, I have a question for you.
Yes.
What is the next step in the process of presenting this to UDOT so that they're on board with our proposals? We have submitted our analysis. They've given us comments. We have submitted a response to that comments, and we are waiting to hear back to see if we've addressed their comments, and I think they still do. We are working with Brandon and the planning group to get more in-person meetings so we can truly narrow down what is the foundation of their concerns, so that we can make sure, because the proposed preferred alternative, if you do not install the mid-block crossings, doesn't change the number of lanes, doesn't change the number of signals. All it does is provide features that slow down vehicles and improve vehicle safety and pedestrian safety. So we believe that there are valid concerns that they have, but it's making sure we truly understand what those are, and so we can look to see where how we can address those and where we can align their vision with the city's vision and so forth. Very good. I do have one follow-up comment. In deference and full respect for Chair White, I prefer to park on Washington Boulevard as opposed to pulling into the parking lot here at the Ogden City parking lot out west. So, and for what that's worth, I kind of like the parking on the street.
And that's one of those trade-offs between balancing all road users, because we understand that businesses like to have that on-street parking, but there is a variety of opinions, and it's everything you do has a trade-off for different opinions. So
tonight my car is parked on Washington Boulevard.
Right.
Okay, any other questions? All right. Did you get yours?
Mine doesn't have an answer.
Okay.
No.
I think it was what somewhat what Councilmember Myers was saying, right? Okay. Do we want to take public input on this?
It was noticed for this evening, so I think you want to take public input on this.
All right. We would like to receive public input. If there's anybody that would like to speak to this particular plan, please feel free.
Laura Lewis, Ogden City residents. I have been to every meeting on this project. The last meeting, there was a good turnout, and this is not what the public wants. You mentioned earlier that the best projects are the ones with public input and a team effort. The public prefers the underground. I know that isn't what the timeline allows, but from what I've observed, all the data is the pros and cons have been biased in favor of the project they want. If you look at those pictures, you see open space. You're not seeing those big 18-wheelers and box trucks barreling down that road. When we were campaigning for Ben, we stood on the side of that road, and that is darn scary standing out there. So if you get that, narrow that down, and they are narrowing the lanes down to, I believe it's 11 feet, which is just barely the minimum on the state. So then you add parking on the streets and those big trucks and everything else. You're just setting, there's going to be people hurt down there. I think that's almost making it worse than what it is now. And I can't remember the exact amount. I think it was just a few miles per hour. They're going to slow this down. But I just don't see this. I think this is going to create more opportunity for injuries and accidents down there, and it's going to gain very little. And it seems it's all based on a timeline of 10 years to meet the date when we're expecting the Olympics. And I am asking that you think this over carefully, because it just, I don't think it's being fairly represented on what's going on down there. And you are right about, it's scary to get out of your car and imagine, like I say, a big old truck coming down the road too. So thank you. Oh, and one more thing. He brought up the utilities and the sewer problems and the water. They're doing this very same thing at the Wonder Block down there in the southwest corner. They've dug down and they've somehow managed that. Plus Salt Lake has just received a grant, and Bill's the guy that has all these details. But they're doing the very same thing we're asking down in Salt Lake, the underground tunnel. So thank you.
Hey, Travis.
Hi, Travis Pate. I think there's a lot of city plans where there actually was even a conference center, a convention center where where Gateway Distributing was and a few things. So there was actually already a lot of focus on this area. And I think in conjunction with Wall Avenue and that aspect, they talk about pedestrian bridges. We already have one at 24th Street. We just need to put a down ramp on the west side of the viaduct, because I think a lot of individuals coming down off the viaduct, we're forcing them, if they are using public transportation, to come across the viaduct, come down the ramp, and then take their lives in their own hands to get back across the street, because the only safe crossing is 25th Street or 23rd Street. And yet, why can't we already had a mid-block, so to speak, passing, and there was a staircase. If many of you remember from the viaduct, there was actually a staircase that went right down into the middle of the rail yard that was midway. But this would be a lot simpler, just right there at the UTA property / Ogden City property / whoever property. Just put a ramp on the west side, a down ramp on the west side. And as far as the narrowing and everything else, it's actually, the slides have been improved because they were dewatering water. I thought that was kind of funny on some of the original slides in the packet. And I don't know how you dewater water, but and I think that, but the 26th Street intersection, I think, is critical. And then whether there's going to be another light or a pedestrian light, we can see the dramatic improvements with both the original St. Anne's property and then the current Lantern House property with the safety and the crosswalks for the pedestrians has been tremendous. And I would like to say what numbers we have that say how many how many fewer accidents there were. And so I think that the plan as presented is great. Pardon me. There's already a no left turn line on 24th Street, very rarely enforced. And so I think that needs to come with both UTA police, the state of Utah, as well as Ogden City. When you watch people just come to the 24th Street viaduct and then it says right turn only and they continue to left turn. So when the plan says there is no left turning on 24th Street, there already is no left turning on 24th Street onto Wall. And then the aspect of a double left turn off of 25th Street onto Wall, we got to protect that. There should be access. If I'm going somewhere from downtown and I want to see the Union Station, I should be able to park north or south of the Union Station from 25th Street. So thank you.
Thanks, Travis.
My name is Paul Burt. I am an Ogden City resident. I have been for a long time. One of the things that I have a concern about is that once you start pinching traffic in that area or slowing it down, it becomes a pinch point, and then traffic starts building up, and then people start getting more reckless. So I think we want people going 40 miles an hour. We want people to be able to cross slowly. But I think if you start slowing things down, you're going to see traffic start building up, and you'll create more and more issues with that. One of the questions that I have is that I think an overhead or a bridge over the street would be fantastic. I didn't think about the 24th Street one. But my question is, does it have to go, east-west, or can it go north-south? Can those ramps, the ramps have to be 250 feet long. Can it go diagonal across Wall Avenue, and then those ramps can go north-south as opposed to east-west? Because east-west, obviously that's not going to work, but if the ramps are north and south, I think that would be a viable option. Thanks.
Great. We'll go online to Teresa's iPhone.
Hi, thank you for taking my call. This is Teresa Bramwell, and I have some input on this project just because it reminds me of 900 South in Salt Lake City, where they just did a similar traffic calming, and it's just been finished. So we're dealing with the ramifications every day. I drive on 900 South every day. It was taken from 2 lanes in each direction and a lane in the middle to 1 lane in each direction and parking in the middle. And it's atrocious. It is a cluster fudge every single day. The traffic is backed up into the intersections. The cars that are parked in the middle of the road, when those cars are backing out trying to get back into traffic, they back the traffic that's driving west on 900 South back into the intersection, blocking the tracks line, blocking the intersection for anybody that's trying to get on the freeway on West Temple heading south. It is literally the worst designed thing that I can even imagine. I can't even imagine it being worse than what it is. And I sure hope this doesn't look anything like what they did to 900 South in Salt Lake City. I think the parking in the middle of the road causes enormous problems for now the 1 single lane of traffic that's expected to move at all, because it doesn't move when somebody's pulling out of the parking, which is in the middle of the road. I think on this Wall Avenue thing, they've got it on the side of the road, but still, when somebody's pulling out of that parking, it's blocking the lane of traffic, which are now being made smaller or more compact. 900 South is so terrible. It's the worst thing that's ever happened to Salt Lake City, and I don't want to see that same thing happen in Ogden. I agree with Laura. I like the idea of putting it underground, and I would prefer to see the money that's spent on this being done with that, because then you have only pedestrian traffic on the street level and the traffic is going underground. And so those two people cannot meet, and obviously you wouldn't have any parking underground, so you wouldn't have people pulling out into the lanes. I think that's by far the best concept for Wall Avenue, and I would be very afraid of Wall Avenue looking anything like 900 South. 900 South has been destroyed for people trying to travel in any direction. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Teresa. All right, we can go online to Linda's iPhone.
Hi, Linda Sanchez. I actually attended some of these meetings with Laura, and she's absolutely correct when she says this is really by far not what the public wants. The public wants the underground, and there's a couple of things that I'm concerned with, is that if we do this, then we just later on, they were talking, well, later on we might be able to do that again, but then we're just wasting money. Why don't we put that in an account, what money we would spend on what we're doing now, or what we want to do now, and let it build some money for us to help us pay for it. We say that this is a major corridor from north to south. So I'm just going to say the other day I was out in the afternoon about 4 or 5, and I'm just going to say you don't need any calming efforts, because it was pretty car to car, and you wouldn't be able to travel at that speed anyway. What I would suggest for the meanwhile, if there's a problem in the meantime, do like one junction, like when you're going to do wherever that the crossing is for the UTA, do one. That would sure be a lot less money. As far as on-street parking, I deal with a lot of elderly patients or family, and literally, if I don't get them as close as I can, they don't get out. So if they want to go down to the hairdresser that's down there, I really have to get as close as I can. Otherwise, they really, even if I get them in the wheelchair, they would prefer not to come downtown. So if the goal is to spend more money downtown, that might not be exactly what you're going to get. And then also the median in the middle of the road, I find in the wintertime when it's kind of slick out, I just see that cement median being a big safety concern with cars going into it or whatnot. And you're going to want to have people crossing there as well. So I just see a lot of other problems. And then as far as the trees and the shrubs or all of that, this brings up the maintenance, and it's not the state that's going to be paying that maintenance, I'm assuming. It will be the city. So I just would like you to consider those things.
All right. Thank you, Linda. All right. Anybody else? All right. Seeing no other comments. I know that in our work session, Barton had asked for us to maybe look at putting a pause on this and extending it. So, yeah. Any comments from council member?
I think that's wise to do. Seems like it needs a little bit more digestion. There's what we've heard tonight is that the public input that happened in these prior meetings isn't matching what's being proposed necessarily. There are some concerns I think maybe ought to be addressed going forward. So I would make that motion that we extend, is that the right word?
Yeah.
Extend resolution 2025-21.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Vice Chair Heyer, second by Councilmember Graff, to extend the proposed resolution 2025-21.
Voice vote.
What's that?
Voice vote.
Yeah. Do we want to put any stipulations as far as any updates, or do we want to just have it just be when they come back?
Yeah, so by the council rules and norms, what would happen is if you do a vote, if you approve a vote, an extension, a member of council staff will come back in the next meeting, which is not till November 18th, and outline some sort of timetable for the public so that they can have some expectation. But planning manager Barton Brierly said they need 4 to 6 months, so it's going to be a while.
All right. All right, so we have a motion by Vice Chair Heyer, second by Councilmember Graff, to extend proposed resolution 2025-21. This is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so that will extend, and then on November 18th, we'll have a plan as far as a timeline at least.
Chair White, can I share a couple comments prior to November 18th? I listened to all the input as well. I have my own opinion about the cars and the parking on the side. It sounds like opinions are split there. But I wanted to make something clear. Whenever we've talked about this, I wanted to make it really clear, and it wasn't really mentioned tonight, that we need to be rooted in a reality. And there needs to be a short-term reality, and there needs to be a long-term reality, and a long-term dream and goal. I never want to walk away from the opportunity or the possibility to have an underground option. But I do know that a price tag of about $200 million is nowhere near our future right now. And so we wanted to put an option in front of us that had to be a short-term option that was better than the current situation, so that we could also have our dreams and our vision set on a long-term option, which is frankly just not in reach right now. For the 24th Street interchange alone, and remember, we're talking about a state road that goes through our city. It's not our road to decide and to manage, and therefore to fully fund. We would participate, I would hope. But we need a UDOT and federal funding and a partner like the Wasatch Front Regional Council with long-range planning to make sure that we have the partnerships that we would need to do a project of that scale. A project of that scale is definitely possible. Anything is possible with enough money. I'll just say that there's a whole lot more money in Salt Lake than there is here. And the 24th Street interchange has taken decades of lobbying by numerous administrations to get to the point of just being approved to be on the list. And now we're at a point where the costs and the estimates are forcing continual redesigns because the state plus federal partners can't quite fund the entire single point user interface that we're currently designed for. And so when I consider that need for $200 million plus the need for potentially dropping 24th Street for another however many $100 million, plus finishing the 24th Street interchange for a couple $300 million, you're in the billion range pretty quick. And when you're talking in the future, plus adjustments for inflation, you're starting to get way outside the realm of reality, especially in the short term. And so we'll take the input into consideration. We'll bring you a better product. I do hope that we will consider making some progress so that we can connect our 25th Street and our downtown the best we possibly can with what we have, recognizing that we also are going to need millions and millions of dollars to restore our Union Station, to handle any environmental remediation that has to take place on that campus, to build a world-class museum like we were hoping. We are at a point where we need to start moving and making progress and taking steps. If we continue to wait for another $200 million, we are not going to be connecting Union Station with 21st Street anytime in the next couple decades. That's my concern. Thanks.
Thanks, and I look forward to seeing what the product is. He must be a better parallel parker than I am.
We've always parked that way on Washington Boulevard.
All right, great, thank you. Thank you for your input. Next on our agenda is the Mount Lewis Community Amendment and Rezone. Barton Brierly, Planning.
Hey, good evening, Chair White and City Councilors. This is a request for a community plan amendment and a zone change, and so there's two items, and I'll be presenting on both of them. This comes to you as an application from Cooperstown Partners, who owns the property. The particular property is at the very north end of Ogden, 1514 North Washington Boulevard. Just to the north, it's in North Ogden, and it's just right across the street from Harrisville. This is a current photo of the property. I know one of the questions you had was about the topography of the land, and it's actually pretty flat. There isn't a whole lot of grade change between that. There is the mobile home park just on the south of it. So the reason they want to request the zone change, it's currently an R2 zone, and they're requesting an R2S zone, which allows single and two-family development. It also would allow single-family row houses, which are subdivided for individual ownership. It allows minimum lot area of 2,500 square feet per dwelling unit for that, and narrower units so that they can be subdivided for individual ownership. So it increase the development capacity and also increase the opportunities for home ownership. This is just a concept of what that could look like. This has not been submitted for review. We're not reviewing it or reviewing it tonight, but just an idea of the type of development that might happen if the zone change were approved. The reason they're proposing a concurrent community plan amendment is because the community plan says to rezone it not from R2 to R2S, but to rezone it to R16. And so they're proposing a concurrent general community plan amendment to change that to an R2S. There are a number of factors consideration when you look at a zone change. I won't go through all of them, but some pertinent ones. A zone change is supposed to reflect the prevailing character of the overall area. This is a particular area. You've got townhomes across the street. You've got multifamily being built right now. To the north, you have a more townhome type development. To the east, and you have a mobile home to the park, so to the south. And so it's really not a typical single family development. This sort of ownership townhome project would be consistent with the character of the area. Also, one of the things we look at is avoid isolating neighborhoods. Again, if it were to follow the plan and do a single-family R16 subdivision, it would be very different than the neighbors. This would create a neighborhood that is more like the types of developments surrounding it. So the Planning Commission has looked at this, and they are recommending approval to amend the vision strategy 4E of the Mount Lewis Community Plan, and to rezone the two parcels at 1514 North Washington from R2 to R2S, and recommending a conditional overlay to do a development agreement which would guarantee owner occupancy of the townhomes for a period of 10 years. That concludes my report.
All right, great. Any questions for Barton? All right, the petitioner is here. Jacob, is that, yeah.
Rick.
Rick.
Everybody else was Jacob tonight.
I know. Sorry.
Council members, mayor, and staff. I'm Rick Skadden, part of the Cooperstown Partners LLC. We're here tonight to present this. It's something we've been working on now for 6 years. With changing situations, working in two cities provided some challenges that I've been grateful that your willingness to work through it. I'd like to lie to you and tell you I had hair when I started this, but I really didn't, so that doesn't pan out. But we're here tonight. I believe Barton did a great job of portraying all our surrounding properties are similar to what we're requesting here tonight. I feel like it fits the flow of common areas. We're not building something that would be different than what our neighbors that would put a problem for them in the future. We're excited to get it going. As I mentioned, we've been working on it a long time. But if you had any questions for me, that I'd be happy to answer. I do believe the packet did a really good job of explaining that. So thank you.
Great. All right.
Madam Chair. Yeah, Rick, I just want to say thanks for your patience. We know we heard this some time ago.
Yes.
I think it was last year.
Yeah.
And your hair may not have been quite as gray when you first presented this to us either.
Yeah.
But thanks for coming back with this. And personally, I like this proposal a lot better. So looking on the other side of the street, that's not Ogden City's property, on the other side of that development, you own that piece of property too. Correct. Will that be a similar type of townhome?
No, that is, those are, well, there'll be a commercial building in front facing Washington Boulevard. Then it'll be 3-story walk-up garden-style apartments on the north side. The amenities that will be there will be shared by this townhome product as well. And those are, as I mentioned, the amenities for this would be across the street within that project.
That's nice.
Very good. Thank you.
Great. All right. Any other questions? All right. This is.
Thank you.
Thank you. This is. We're going to open it up to public comment about this particular plan. Is there anyone that has any questions about or any comments about this plan?
Hi, Travis Pete. I think this is similar to Sherwood Hills, so I applaud that someone's tenacious enough to continue to come back and say, oh, you're not going to secede this property to North Ogden City. Okay, now I can't build high-rise things that would block, because Ogden City planning says view corridor and vista preservation. And so you can imagine if a 3-story walk-up was put right in the backyard, in your backyard, and here's this gorgeous thing called Ben Lomond that we can no longer see. So this is a little bit more conducive, but I think when you see the plans and it's presented and it says wasted space, by whose determination is that wasted space? With the current zoning, or even just going to the R16, is it wasted space? Is there potential for continuing the road from Ogden City into North Ogden City, just right at that little bend? Then also the other thing with regards to water utilities, water access, garbage collection. Who's responsible for that? Hey, my street's not plowed. Well, you're North Ogden City, but I pay Ogden City taxes. Yes, but you're North Ogden City. We faced a similar thing over on Country Hills Drive with 40th Street, and the shared aspect and the misrepresentation of saying everything along that corridor was split 50-50, when everything west of the corridor by the hospital was South Ogden City, everything east of the corridor was Ogden City. So it was a complete misrepresentation back then as far as road ownership, but we seceded half that road to South Ogden City because they didn't ask us for permission to access our road, and they just put a big load up door that's gonna just, somebody could barrel out. There's no snow removal protections. So the same thing with this road now being 100% in North Ogden City, then how do we get our utilities to them, those types of things. And if it passes right now to R2, it was presented to you that you'll review it again. No, you won't. If you accept the zoning changes today, it's only, is it an allowed use or a disallowed use? I've consistently said we need to be mindful of ownership of this property, of all properties, and say what's the use. So the 10-year owner occupancy is fantastic. That's the first time we've done this, because everything else you've rezoned carte blanche individual ownership titles, but no guarantee of owner occupancy. So I applaud planning for putting that forward. But again, it's a self-imposed hardship. Sherwood Market did the same thing. They built a school in their backyard and then said, oh, well, nobody built this road, so now we got to rezone this. And then we bounced them around for a few years because of a self-imposed hardship, instead of us saying, well, here's the plan. Here's a road through the Sherwood Market. Yes, you can put the school west of this. You can do these types of things. So I think the same thing with this one. We said, no, you don't get the property. No one researched the historic value of the home that was there. Could that have been lifted and moved somewhere? Was it important? Was it significant? So if there is a rezone, there needs to be conditions that the view corridor and vista preservations are preserved. Thank you.
Thanks, Travis. Any others? Anyone online? All right, Barton, I think I know some of the answers, but if you can come up and answer a few of this. My first comment is that it was only a concept plan. It's not a fully baked plan, correct?
That's correct.
And in reviewing this development, you will make sure that we have access both in and out.
Yes. Yes, and there will need to be some deal with the North Ogden. Ogden has utilities, North Ogden has the road. So yeah, there'll be some discussions back and forth.
All right. Any other questions? Okay.
I think it was the second time we've done the 10-year with the 7th Street project. There was also a 10-year owner occupancy requirement. So
great.
Moving in that direction, right?
Yeah, thank you.
Madam Chair, hearing no other comments, I'd like to move that we approve proposed ordinance 2025-30, amending the Mount Lewis Community Plan.
Second.
Option of zoning option R-2S.
All right. We have a motion by Councilmember Myers, second by Councilmember Graff, to adopt proposed ordinance 2025-30, amending the Mount Lewis Community Plan.
Chair, before you vote, I thought it was presented R2SCO. Right? Okay.
I will amend my motion to reflect that.
Okay.
Great.
The CO is on the second, is on the other. On the other.
The second one.
Oh, yeah, there we go. Okay. Sorry.
Stand
Got ahead of
corrected.
myself.
All right, so we have a motion by Councilmember Meyer, second by Councilmember Graff, to adopt proposed ordinance 2025-30, amending the Mount Lewis Community Plan and zoning option R2S. This is a roll call vote.
Councilmember Ritchie?
Aye.
Councilmember Blair?
Aye.
Councilmember Chaburka?
Aye.
Councilmember Graff?
Aye.
Councilmember Myers?
Aye.
Vice Chair Heyer?
Aye.
Chair White?
Aye, that passes.
And now regarding the rezone, the proposed rezone, I move to adopt proposed ordinance 2025-31, rezoning this area to R2S with a conditional overlay.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Graff, second by Councilmember Ritchie, to adopt proposed ordinance 2025-31. This too is a roll call vote.
Councilmember Blair?
Aye.
Councilmember Chaburka?
Aye.
Councilmember Graff?
Aye.
Councilmember Myers?
Aye.
Councilmember Ritchie?
Aye.
Vice Chair Heyer?
Aye.
Chair White?
Aye, that passes. And just as a quick comment, I too am thankful for your patience, and I
Yeah.
think that it will be a nice product and a nice addition to that area for a for-sale product as well. So thank you for that.
Chair White, can I make a comment before the petitioner leaves? I wanted to thank you for sticking it out as well. And also thank you for helping us achieve our goals around homeownership and opportunity for people.
Yeah.
That's a big deal. And you deserve credit for that. You also deserve credit for sticking around and working with two different cities that don't have the same goals and alignment. Now, I wanted to tell you something, and I want the public to know and the council to know that there have been a lot of instances in the past, legacy instances that we've inherited, where we didn't pay attention to those details, and we're now paying the price for that. We have cities that neighbor us, like the example that Travis shared. It built in our city and on our right-of-way, and we had to bail them out. That cost us time, cost us money, cost us resource and attention and energy. We also have other neighboring cities that are putting utilities into our utilities. They're not paying us for that. They're not paying us for the wear and tear or for the services that we're providing. And that's not fair to the people of Ogden. Now, I want to be as helpful and collaborative and supportive as we can be as the anchor city of our county. But when we are allowing things from the past to perpetuate, at some point we've got to put our foot down. And we've seen this council do this a number of times. It comes with pain. It comes at a cost sometimes, right? It came at a cost to the petitioner in terms of time and energy and patience. But I just want you to know that we're not doing it for no reason. These are hard things that have happened to us in the past, and we're paying a lot more attention to make sure it doesn't happen to our city and our people and our taxpayers anymore. When you add up all of those things, it actually adds up to a lot. And we're going to take that back on behalf of our people and our taxpayers. Those are the kinds of efficiencies we're going to find and we're going to fix moving forward so that we don't have to continue to take money out of our people's pockets, and we're going to take it out of the people's pockets there where it belongs.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Rick.
All right. Next on the agenda is reports from administration.
Oh, we got cross-water connection stuff.
We have, I think we had, oh,
That's
Full report from administration, sorry.
yep.
I thought that was the mayor talking again.
Oh,
Good evening, Councilman, or City Council. Brady Hurd here tonight. We have Justin Royer, who's our cross-connection control administrator. We are proposing an amendment to the cross-connection control ordinance for the city. So with that, we'll turn it over to Justin to step through that. Thanks.
Thank you, Brady. Yeah, good evening, Council and Mayor and Mara. And everybody in attendance electronically as well. Before I jump into my presentation, I just want to thank you all for having the Title IX, Chapter 4 in your hands, getting a chance to read through it, and all of your questions at the work session. So for the benefit of everybody in attendance, I just wanted to go over the ordinance update and kind of the key points of how it helps guide our position as cross-connection control administrators. So what is backflow? It's the undesirable reversal flow of water, and that can also be solids, any fluid or any gas. And what is a cross connection? So that's the direct or indirect connection between potable water and any undesirable source that we as the water purveyor have no control over. The cross-connection control ordinance, the purpose of it is that it is state and federally required. The EPA has passed down the responsibility of the Safe Drinking Water Act of 1974 onto the Utah Department of Environmental Quality, and so that encompasses the Utah Division of Drinking Water and their rules for us that legislative has adopted as the R309. And also the purpose of this ordinance is public safety, Ogden City's water supply, keeping it safe, and enforcement of an effective cross-connection control program. There are 5 elements to a cross-connection control program, and one of those being the local authority, hence the purpose for our Title IX. So who should know this ordinance? Everybody, well, all-encompassing. Backflow tester is one, anybody that's going to work within our city. And a backflow tester is somebody who's certified every 3 years with the ABPA. It's the American Backflow Prevention Association. They go out, you see this gentleman in the top left. He's actually one of the founders of our cross-connection control program. He's got his gauge hooked up, testing make sure that check valve's in there closed adequately to protect the water from what it looks like is landscaping. Contractors should know about these ordinances. A lot of the times we'll go out to four-ways and finals and speak with them and make sure that they are aware of the plumbing code. And then our citizens. We make great efforts in order to present anytime we can and perform public awareness and education events. The city, you all, public plumbing supplies, so that's going to be anybody who is selling backflow assemblies. We've ran into several situations where plumbing stores, we had to go correct them on what to sell customers in certain scenarios. And then city inspectors or any inspector in general who's familiar with the plumbing code. One of the things we get to do is construction plan review. We dig deep into the plumbing code, Utah state adopted plumbing code. And Section 608 is our bread and butter. We go in there and we make sure that during the construction phases, backflow prevention is installed correctly. On the left photo there is a chiller room, one of the new builds going up in town. Bunch of colorful different pipes, but I promise you backflow prevention is in there. And then on the right is our new Marshall White Community Center's fire riser that we were able to approve along with our fire department. So our position is very interesting. The fact we get to work with building services, they send us plan reviews, fire department will call us some questions, and it's a great position to be in. So this example is our new construction when we get called out for four-ways and finals to give occupancy to customers. Left system there is a fire suppression, typical install. And then on the right is the building water supply as it comes from underground. It's called a pressure reducing station. And you can see the backflow along the bottom where the white pipe goes into the floor drain. What we also do is work with our metering department. If water is caught being stolen from fire hydrants, the last portion of our Chapter 4 actually goes over this. You got to catch them. Obviously, they're illegally hooked up, and there's no meter or backflow preventer there on the left photo. We have no idea where that hose is going off to. It could be filling a water tank without an air gap. It could be sitting in a puddle of water. So that would be an example of an indirect connection. And the photo on the right is a typical meter hookup. Anytime these are moved or installed in the city, the other administrator and I, Joseph, will go out and test these and definitely repair them in the winter when they break. This photo is chemical dispensing setup. These are typically installed after people get occupancy. They'll have their deck-mounted hose there on the left above the janitorial sink below, and you can see they've got it piped with a flexible hose. That is incorrect according to the plumbing code. So we'll work with the Weber County Health Department to catch these things, make sure they have the appropriate installation, like there on the right photo. It's called a spill-proof vacuum breaker. And those are installed to prevent siphonage, much like a straw. It'd try to pull those chemicals into the water. We also clarify proper installations. This is one of our engineering standards. It's called a swing connection or a dual source connection. It's where if somebody up on the east bench has their secondary water and they shut it off like they did October 1st this year, and they want to say, I want my water, I want to water continuously, until it freezes. So I want to keep my grass green. They'll try to hook up a flexible hose to go between the two. We do allow that, but there has to be a very specific type of backflow assemblies installed. So we utilize this engineering standard that was designed to keep everybody safe. As an example of a swing connection right here. On the left, you'll see a backflow preventer in the top left of this box. They're not allowed to be underground, and that is not the correct type according to our engineering standard here called a reduced pressure zone assembly. And then on the right is a correct picture up along Skyline of a customer who does have the dual source connection with the correct type of backflow installed. We'll also find improper installations around town, some of them being installed upside down, unfortunately. So a picture on the left, you'll see along the top of that brass is the relief valve. That should actually be pointing down, just like the picture on the right. With that one has a plastic body. So we'll enforce the plumbing code and ask them to follow the installation criteria the manufacturer sent in the box. And this ordinance update does provide clear definitions and verbiage. Previously, I believe there was 8. It only went up to C as far as alphabetically goes, and now I think we have a little over 20. There's more references to the current plumbing code. Plumbing code is adopted every 3 years. I think there's been 11 variations of it approved by DOPL since 1991 is when the last time this ordinance was updated. So we're happy to see more reference to currently adopted is the verbiage we use. It does provide removal of verbiage referring to grandfathering, which can be dangerous in our world because a lot of people want to keep certain protections in place that are no longer approved by plumbing code. And public education and awareness, like this photo on our right here, this is where we went to the up to the Weber County Fair, and we spoke with the children, the water fair, and we were able to show them an example of siphonage, how when we open up a fire hydrant, it'll act like a straw and pull additional water from a home. The back side of our model, we have a little pool make up with red water so they could visibly see the water moving in the reverse direction. And so this will also help us with our continued enforcement. Again, these are very specific guidelines for our position in the city as cross-connection control administrators. So again, I appreciate your time reviewing it, and again, thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Any questions for Justin?
Sure, I do have a question.
Chair, I have a question. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yeah.
Let her go.
Yeah, go ahead, Angela.
Thank you so much, and I appreciate this overview again. I was curious, and I'm not sure who the right person to ask would be, but sometimes when we pass the ordinances to catch up, with what's best practices, certainly I support that, absolutely. But I'm curious, would the cost of any of these changes, would people be able to apply for the help loan or emergency loan support if they need additional support to make these changes?
Yeah, thank you for that question. I did reach out to the operator at the time who was dealing over help, and I think it's changed. The position's changed right now. But the help program, for everybody that's listening doesn't know, is the home exterior loan program, and I believe it borrows off the escrow of the home. So this does qualify. If people do want to install them, we do highly encourage residents to get these installed. However, with our manpower, keeping track of everybody residentially that installs them would be quite difficult. So if you have one and you test it annually, fantastic. Thank you. You're keeping the water safe. Your neighbors will thank you, and then send us what's called a backflow prevention report, just showing that it passes. We're required to keep those by state requirements.
That's good to know. Thanks. Vice Chair Heyer.
Yeah, you maybe talked about this, but I kind of missed it. I was kind of nerding out on your drawings and stuff. And but 60% of our citizens, their outdoor water sprinkling, is culinary only. They don't have secondary. And what kind of how does that protection work if they're culinary only? They don't switch back and forth. Is there something that's necessary for them?
A lot of people believe that the check valves that are inside of their boxes are enough to prevent some sort of back siphonage. A lot of those are not what's called ASSE approved. It's the American Sanitary Engineering approval, the stamp that's kind of placed on every type of valve. So along with the California State University is kind of where the hydraulics and the cross-connection control kind of was birthed in the United States, where a lot of that came from. Everybody should be paying attention to backflow prevention. It's not widely talked about. However, I know that there's been a nationwide surge with the ABPA working with some manufacturers, and there's a lot of videos and stuff out there. So in reality, yes, everybody should try to have this type of backflow prevention installed. And there are a lot of cheaper versions than the big brass units that you see out there, especially if you're running small 3/4-inch lines and things like that. So we would just encourage anybody to give us a call, and we are happy to show up on site and walk through your property with you and give you a full breakdown of what you could do to keep your costs down, as well as making sure you keep your water protected.
Right. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Great.
I have one question for you. Justin, the picture that you had of the guy that you said is the father of backhoe protection in Ogden, is that Bob Prince?
It is Bob Prince.
Yeah.
Yep.
We call him Backflow Bob
Backflow
in our
Bob.
place. Yeah, so
Yep.
he helped us to come into compliance. So
I've heard all about him.
yeah, very good. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right, any other comments? All right. Thank you, Justin.
Have a good night.
All right. No public input, so no, there's no public input to this.
Public comment time.
What's that? No, there's no is the answer to that.
So Chair, I'll make a motion, if that's okay, that we adopt proposed ordinance 2025-32.
Second.
We have a motion by Vice Chair Heyer, second by Councilmember Blair to adopt proposed ordinance 2025-32. This is a roll call vote.
Councilmember Chaburka,
Aye.
Councilmember Graff,
Aye.
Councilmember Myers,
Aye.
Councilmember Ritchie,
Aye.
Councilmember Blair,
Aye.
Vice Chair Heyer,
Aye.
Chair White.
Aye, that passes. All right.
Yeah, Chair, I just think that in as much as we're just trying to keep our code up to state code, I was happy that we brought this forward, and certainly your comments will be apropos, but there's public comment and you can give us those. I think we kind of had to make the ordinance change just to comply with state's ordinance, so that's why we move forward.
All right, next on the agenda is public comments. This is an opportunity to address the council regarding concerns or ideas on any topic.
Hi, I think I studied rules and norms, so it was just public input, not public input, and it wasn't necessarily a public hearing and those types of things. So I think sometimes when there is not so much a hot button item, but as Councilmember Chaburka put, there's going to be a cost and impact rate, and yet nobody asked how many citizens is this going to impact, because the ordinance as now passed basically says, following this written notice provided by the chapter, meaning they'll send everyone a notice, the consumer shall immediately install an approved backflow prevention assembly or device at the consumer's own expense. Failure, refusal, or inability to immediately install the backflow preventer shall constitute the grounds for discontinuing water service to the premises until an approved backflow preventer assembly or device has been properly installed. And that's what you just passed. So every citizen right now, if we send them a letter that does not comply and it says failure, refusal, or inability, financial might be an inability, as Councilmember Chaburka pointed out. Well, let's apply for a loan. But meanwhile, we're shutting off your water until you apply for the loan and possibly share all your personal information with us, and then it might get disclosed and it might be part of public domain, versus the simplicity of a special improvement district tax that could blanket the entire city. All the sidewalks, roads, and other curbs and gutters that were put in Ogden City in the early days were a special improvement district tax. The city didn't pay for it. The adjoining property owners paid for it over time. And so it's not a lien or a loan against my property jeopardizing me selling it because I didn't pay the $50 or $60 or $500 or $5,000 that it cost me to do that. So it was just the simplicity. It was just something this big. It was just a matter of input that says, oh, can we pass this with the consideration of doing a special improvement district tax? Because if we want our water protected, particularly those of us that are solely reliant on culinary water, because the city has not chosen to buy additional shares. They dug up 25th Street, the length of it, didn't put an additional water line in so that they could water the Union Station, the municipal gardens, Leicester Park or Liberty Park with secondary water. And so we have these options, but we don't put the extra infrastructure in. And so my frustration again is the aspect of just that quick a pass and we're threatening people with shutting off their water. We could get an overzealot person, and then it comes in and says, here's what we're doing, and then they have to go through the appeal process, but meanwhile their water's shut off. And so I think that we didn't buy any time. We did approve with code that says here's how we're going to do it, but sadly, failure to, or refusal, or inability. Councilmember Chaburka was right. We should have some means of saying, how can we protect our citizenry? You've been here all this whole time, but now we're just going to shut off your water until you come in compliance, and that's pretty horrible.
Thanks, Travis.
Laura Lewis, Ogden City resident. Thank you for giving me one more thing to worry about. And where I'm going to find the money to do that when I get one of those letters. Mayor, my question is on the Wall Avenue corridor. Why are we doing that? My impression was it was safety. We were concerned about the people crossing the street. And when I look at that project, I think we're increasing the risk of safety. People getting hit by cars. Right now it's focused on 25th and Wall. When I look at those pictures, all those little islands are invitations to, hey, look, here's a place, let's jump across the street real quick, rather than worry about going down to the light. I think you are increasing the risk of people getting hurt, not preventing it. And also, it sounds like your vision is in conflict with the majority of the people that have been showing up at these meetings. So what is the precedence there? Do we automatically just go ahead because that's what you want, or do we go back and reevaluate? We are the people paying for this, correct? At some point, we're putting money into this, our taxpayer money. And I understand the large amount of money it takes to go underground and do all these things. But if we're not increasing safety, why do it? Why do it? Why not postpone till we can do it right? The next thing I want to talk about is your recycling program. That's something I know a lot about. I was a packaging engineer for years. And I can tell you right now, and you can go on the internet and look anywhere, in the U.S., we actually only recycle 6% of our plastics. Plastics are very complex. Everybody has their unique formulas. There's different labels you'll see on there, but every vendor has their own special formula. If you notice on your water bottles, there's less glue on the label. That's just because that glue made that bottle unrecyclable. There are just too many factors to recycle that. Most of it right now ends up being burned, which is very toxic, especially polystyrene, or ends up in a landfill. And those people telling you, we saw it bundled up and going here, that doesn't mean anything. They could just turn around and sell that to a third world country, and they will then dump it in the ocean. So I would suggest, before you waste any more time and money, following that, it's a great feeling. Oh, look, I've done it myself. I recycle, but I know the end results is not there. So I think before you spend any more time doing that, you really need to investigate that. And John Stossel has a great program you can watch on YouTube about that. And there's also CBS has done some things, but do the homework before you waste any more money on that.
Great. Thanks, Laura. All right, let's go online to Heath Sato.
Hi, Heath Sato, Ogden resident. My comments were in regards to today's work session as well. As far as the sustainability committee, I commend the mayor for putting more attention onto that, and I'm really happy to hear that. One thing mentioned during the work session by the presenter, whose name I forget, they said a myth they have to deal with is people thinking that the recycling is just being thrown in the trash. And under the prior administration here, there was a period where for the better part of a year, our recycling was being thrown in the trash. And I made a pretty big deal about the lack of transparency on the administration's part and how it could hurt the public trust. And so now we're seeing that it did hurt the public trust. So that's just something to think about when considering literally anything our government does, the city council or the mayor's office, that we just, the more transparency, the better, the less we'll run into stuff down the road that will erode public trust. The other thing was you guys were talking about massage places, and I'm 100% behind putting an end to any places in Ogden that skirt the law, and particularly any that add to human trafficking issues. I like the city having more direct enforcement capabilities as well. But when you guys are talking about, I just want you to consider a few things. The legitimate places that are already compliant with state law will need to, it looks like they'll need to take extra steps and incur additional costs to meet Ogden's specific requirements. The detailed application process, dual licensing, and specific operational mandates are more stringent than the state level regulations, as you know. So given the already bad reputation Ogden has as a city that's hard to do business in, I just want us to be very careful when adding more burdens to any small businesses at all. So there's that. And I'm not exactly sure how to address this, but the mayor's comments last week, some people used the fact that he started talking about people calling him a fascist right after talking about my comments, which he was nice about, but they kind of ran into each other. And online trolls have tried to accuse me of, or at least make it look like I called the mayor a fascist. I want to be 100% clear. I've never called him that, and I do not think he is one. I do not think he's come close to being one. I think he's done a lot of great things, and I'm really happy with a lot that's going on. And you just don't hear about a lot of it because we only get 3 minutes to talk, and that looks like it's about my time. So we just deal with the problems mostly. But thanks. Bye.
Thanks, Heath. All right, Teresa's, I'm assuming Teresa Bramwell.
Hi, thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. This is Teresa Bramwell. The reason I am present tonight is because I wanted to bring up the erosion of public trust, as Heath just put it, about the 25th and Quincy project, which is just a kitty corner across the street from my property. I'm going to read you an advertisement that came up on Facebook. It was KSL News Radio, which was then a sponsored written ad on Facebook that came up on September 22nd. People in need of affordable housing in Ogden now have more options with 176 new units available to rent. The 25th and Quincy apartment complex is one of 4 projects the housing company J. Fisher is working on in the area. Quincy is an affordable housing project and has 1 or 2 bedroom apartments. They are only open to people who make 60% or less of the area median income, which is around $50,600 for one person. That's the end of the ad. So my concern about this is I was in the meeting where this building was allowed to be built. And the representative from J. Fisher was there in the meeting. He told me, being the neighbor of this building, that the people occupying this building were going to be between 60 and 80% of the median income. Now, I understood that to be the truth. And even then, I was concerned about it being low income. In fact, after this happened, Heath and I had an argument about it online about, 60% median income being too close to, the very low income apartments that already exist in this block, which are housing some of the very lowest income people in the entire city of Ogden and in the entire state of Utah. And my argument was that 80% was okay, 60% was getting, adding way too much poverty to my neighborhood. Now I'm reading an ad that now we're only allowing people that earn less than 60% of the median income into this apartment complex. And I believe that to be the truth because a neighbor of mine who I have spoken with many times over the years, she lives in the McGregor apartments and has lived in the McGregor apartments for about 20 years. She told me a couple of weeks ago that she was moving into the 25th and Quincy apartments. And she said that her Section 8 was going to pay for that. Anyway, thanks. I don't believe. Thank you.
Thanks, Teresa.
Thank you.
All right, anyone else? All right, let's try to address some of these. So I think, Laura, let's start with the Wall Avenue corridor plan. One of the reasons why we did an extension was to see if we can do better. And I think I don't know that it will, we're always faced with,
No, mine was directed to.
I know, but it's the council meeting, so I'm just trying to address the answer here. So I think the mayor said that earlier, that it's, as far as dollar-wise, it's very expensive to go underneath, but we're going to take a look at all other options. And yes, I think that the reason why we're asking the questions is because of safety and continuing to try to figure out how to work with UDOT to make it still, you saw what their comments back were. We're trying to make sure that there's not a reduction in time going down that street if you're in a vehicle. Thank you for the update of the recycling program. I think that our sustainability committee is really trying to look at all of those options. And thank you, Vice Chair Heyer, for asking about the current transfer station. So, I'm just trying to look here. Travis, I think the answer to your question, I think Vice Chair Heyer has actually said it well, is that we were trying to follow what the state code was and what they're asking us to do, or at least following that. So, and offering a special services district is just one more layer of trying to figure out how to pay for those things. I don't know how we would be able to set up a special services district for the entire city. Teresa, I don't have the exact answer to you, but I think that Jay Fisher and that project has always been a 60% AMI project. From what I'm understanding, I don't think that it's ever been anything but that. So,
I don't think the whole block is designed to be that way, but
correct.
That particular building.
Correct. And then Heath, I don't know how we can, we were asking a bunch of questions about the massage parlor and how the massage business licensing. Thank you for bringing that up, and we can ask those questions. We haven't brought that up to a vote yet, but we can ask those questions about, I know that Councilmember Ritchie brought up concerns about small businesses and making sure that we're protecting the small businesses. So we can ask that question as we go forward. Any other comments that I missed? All right. Comments from the mayor.
Can I just say something? I've kind of been on this for a little while, and Travis brings up something that is just going to allow me to make good example, I think. So we worked on this cross connections thing a week ago in our work session. It was posted as part of our agenda a week before that. And regardless of whether a special improvement taxing district or whatever is good or not good, the idea to bring up questions around the wisdom of any particular ordinance and whether it's adopted or not is not tonight. Please call me, grab me on the street, email me, and talk about these things with me before we're in a decision-making situation. That's public engagement. I really appreciate you being here, everybody that comes and speaks, but we're a long way out the door by the time we get to this meeting, and to really engage and make a difference and gain understanding from those of you that have a broader range of understanding and experience and education than I do around some of these topics, I need time. So give me that time to work for you by reaching out to me earlier. I just want that engagement. So please do that. And that, another example is Heath with the massage businesses stuff. Great point, Heath. But let's talk about it before now. We've got a week or so before we hear that. Well, we got a month. But the more time I've got as your council representative, the better job I can do for everybody.
And to that point, also, I think that what we do to enable our citizenry to comply is still forthcoming. We do have to comply with state law, and so that's what we did tonight. And how we proceed forward is still up for discussion, and that's still valid. So yeah, I think to that point, when it's on the agenda for a vote, it's a little, we've already had the work discussions and those kind of things, and I, like you, much more appreciate a telephone call or an email or something where we don't have a 3-minute time limit and only one-way communication and some of those kind of things. That makes it very wonky to discuss something. And all of us are available many different ways. And all of us are willing to speak to the people that elected us. Everyone. So.
Great. Great. Comments from the mayor?
Thank you. I've got quite a few notes here. I'll try to work through them methodically and make sure I cover everything. And then I want to share some thoughts about an experience I had today to finish my remarks. First, I want to thank Justin for coming out of the field and coming and giving the presentation and talking about the importance of backflow prevention. I think what's lost in the conversation is the importance of protecting our water safety. And one of the things that is also lost in translation is that sometimes people think we're hard to work with because we have rules that don't align with the state law or with building code. And so that creates additional burden and headache when people have to clarify why we are out of alignment. And then we have to clarify again that state law and code trumps ordinance, et cetera, and that the building code is adopted and updated annually, and that our ordinance needs to reflect that. These are the challenges and the circumstances that come with outdated code that needs recodification. So thank you for bringing that forward tonight, not only to press the importance of backflow prevention, but the reality and the requirement that that be in place was already there. We were updating our standards and our code to make sure that we're aligned. That's important for being easier to work with. It's also important for setting a standard and making sure that we're clear that infrastructure is a priority in our city and that protecting our people and their health and their safety is a priority. I also want to congratulate Ed Bridge. Ed was selected and announced to be our Deputy Director of Public Services. And Ed brings a completely different perspective that helps to round out Justin Anderson, who has a really strong engineering and infrastructure background. And Ed has a really strong background in recreation, open space, parks, et cetera. And it's really important in this city that we have leaders that are not just managing projects. I need Justin to be available and able to manage and to lead his team of directors who lead and direct and oversee projects. And this is one more step in the right direction for us as we transition toward an administration that has appropriate administrative oversight, leadership, and management skills and bandwidth in order to oversee the complex operations that we do. We have not had enough of that, you guys. We've got our best and our brightest and our most capable at the executive director level, overseeing things at the lower levels because of bandwidth and also because we have not had the right prioritization of the uses of their time. So that's an important move, not just for Justin, but for the city. And I want to congratulate and welcome Ed to that role. I also want to mention and recognize recent tragedies and grief that have happened in our city. I think it's really important that we recognize that these are things that are hitting really close to a lot of homes. And I can speak from personal experience because it was really hard for me to deliver the news that a classmate and a friend of my daughter's was killed over the weekend. That was an emotional moment for my daughter, and no 15-year-old kid should have to wonder why they go to school the next day and their classmate's gone. I didn't know the child or the family myself. It's hard to keep coming to work and do the things that we do when things like that continue to happen. But it should really put some perspective in everybody as to what our priorities are and why we do what we do and who we do it for. We have more work to do to make sure things like that don't happen. And it makes discussions like some of the ones we've had tonight pale in comparison in terms of their significance. And so I want to make sure that we're always mindful of appropriate perspective. I also want to say that there are a lot of federal workers in our community that are struggling and suffering, and that every single day that dysfunction in Washington, D.C. continues is putting our families and our nonprofits in more and more dire circumstances. We've been working on retooling a utility bill relief opportunity for our federal workforce, anybody who is struggling due to furloughs. And we'll be unveiling that here shortly. But I wanted to let you guys know that we'll be repackaging opportunities that we created first during COVID to help meet the needs for financial hardships, and putting that into place with the flexibility that's already allowed within our existing authorities. We'll also be announcing some opportunities and partnerships with nonprofit community and making some community resource links and opportunities available, and consolidating that information for people to become more aware of, to reach out to people that can help during this time. Laura, in terms of Wall Avenue, I think what you're asking me to do is for me to ignore best practices and engineering standards, and to ignore the fact that we've done similar things right here on Washington Boulevard, and it yielded more safe results. So, and I know you're not asking me to ignore good practice, but I want to recognize that engineering and traffic standards are not coming out of nowhere. These recommendations didn't come out of nowhere. And that we've had experience with what's been recommended to help improve safety. What I'm worried about, and this is not just my vision, Laura, this is a community vision that wants to prioritize Union Station. We heard loud and clear that we want to make sure that there's some level of connectivity between 25th Street and Union Station. That 25th Street, or that Union Station specifically, is the heart of our city, right? And that everything starts and ends right there. And I'm just speaking really matter-of-factly about the realities of $200 million.
Oh, yeah. It's a ton.
It's a ton.
$3 million for the one in Salt Lake. $300 million.
There you go. Those are enormous numbers. Yeah. And what I don't want to do is for us to make no progress because we're waiting for perfection. Now, perfection is something that I don't want to let go of. I don't want to let go of that dream and that vision. That's why I specifically said, make sure that we take every step to put that in the Wasatch Front Regional Council's long-range plan so that it has a place in our future still. But what do we do in the meantime? Do we do nothing while we wait? Or do we do something that's better and that it's progress? Now, this points to a paradigm that I brought in my administration, and it's why we're getting a lot of things done, in part. There's a lot of reasons for that. But we're no longer waiting for perfection that's out of reach. And we are taking steps to get us there is how we're doing things. We can't do everything all at one time, but we are going to take steps. And when it comes to Union Station, I don't know how many times I've been criticized that we haven't done enough yet. The things that are holding us back is making sure that we're getting public engagement and getting public input right. Making sure that we're taking steps toward progress and we're doing it in the right order. And so I've asked my staff to lay out what are those steps, which ones come first, which ones come last, and why. Because once we take those steps and spend that money, you can't really undo that, right? But the chain of events at Union Station, the cause and effect, you can't unravel it. It's so complicated. But we are at a point where I think we're close to finalize having a plan for the campus overall. There's no misalignment between me and what the public is telling us. The misalignment's happening because we're still arguing over the things that we actually agree on. And that's slowing us down and stopping us from taking steps toward what we all want to do, which is to restore our Union Station, to highlight our assets and our history, and to create a place that's more vibrant and more inviting. Part of that, and one of the key steps, is doing something about Wall Avenue. I don't know about the rest of the city, but I don't want to have to wait for $200 million that's going to take decades to come before we start making that progress. That's where I'm coming from. Heath, I do recall the period you were mentioning around recycling. We were actually really transparent about it by being the ones that announced it and encouraged everybody, because of the limitations in the recycling and garbage and refuse provider chain, to continue to keep up with that habit of recycling, even though they were going to the same place, so that when we brought those services back online, we wouldn't have to undo any other bad habits. We were very transparent about that at the time. I'm sure we took some heat for that, but such is life, especially when you're leading with transparency. I want to be clear too for Heath that Heath did not call me a fascist. I was responding to comments that Heath made about our city newsletter at the time. And we have seen some comments online that have suggested that I've traded my character and my integrity for positive press. But I hope nobody feels that way. I think that the newsletter has been received with incredibly good reception overall. And, but I do want to be clear that Heath did not call me a fascist. There are others, however, not associated with Heath, that did refer to me as a fascist, that did refer to me and compare me to a North Korean dictator. And that's the kind of rhetoric that actually is pretty dangerous for a city and for any community. And that brings me to the experience that I had today. And bear with me for a moment, because I've got some thoughts to share here. I spent 2 different periods of time today at the Circles USA conference. This is a national nonprofit that helps local communities eradicate poverty in their city using proven methods and models. They held their national conference here in Ogden, and they invited me to speak, 1, to welcome them, and 2, to participate in a panel. Now, in that panel, they asked a question that I think has relevance to some of the dialogue that's happening in our city tonight, or today. It's been happening in our city for quite some time. They said, if you could wave a wand and you could change any policy, what would it be? And they said, what would you change in terms of the policy? And I flipped it and I said, I would change our mindset first and foremost. And then I used that opportunity to talk about the mindset that's required to change and to build and to lift a community. And that the policy I would change would be that everybody participates and helps to lift. Everybody. That there is a human requirement, in my mind, that everybody does something to help, especially those that are struggling. And I want to say, clear as day, that we live in a county where that's not happening. We live in a county where we have some cities that provide 0 deeply affordable and permanently subsidized housing units. 0. Meanwhile, in Ogden, we support the Lantern House, we support St. Anne's. We support a youth futures homeless shelter for kids. We support YCC to make sure that we're protecting victims of domestic abuse. We also support a veterans shelter. Did you know that just today, I asked for a GIS analysis, and so far we've identified 65 housing projects in Ogden. And that number's rising because we're finding more and more as we look. And I bring that up because we think 82% of subsidized housing units for Weber County are in Ogden, even though Ogden represents 32% of Weber County's population. 82%. But I actually think the number's higher when you start to do the analysis using the GIS tools that we have. The next closest city to Ogden is 5%. There are 6 cities with 0%. And I bring up the youth, the conference today, the Circles USA, because when I said that everybody should be participating, the entire room was nodding. These are national experts. When we talked about housing policy and that you can't pack poverty and expect people to find a way toward prosperity, they were all nodding. And yes, that is the way. You cannot pack prosperity, nor can you pack poverty and expect people to have a pathway toward success. But everything is ensuring that Ogden is the only one that provides services and helps people lift. And we put our foot down. We had an example tonight where we put our foot down on a neighboring city so that our people stop paying for services and infrastructure for neighboring cities. That's coming out of our people's pockets. We're changing that. The impacts of homelessness and housing have been borne and bared by this city and this city alone for far too long. We are bearing the brunt of regional impacts and regional suffering. Meanwhile, we are accused of being heartless and not providing for those in need because we made one decision to put our foot down with a housing authority that doesn't have the authority to operate in our city without our blessing, while also working with the Ogden Housing Authority that was housing 56 people at the Solace Project. We blessed that, supported that in our city, in coordination and cooperation with the Ogden Housing Authority. It's set up so that we work with the Ogden Housing Authority to do housing in Ogden, and we will continue to, while the Weber Housing Authority works with cities outside of Ogden City in Weber County to make sure that everybody participates and everybody lifts. If that had been happening for much, much longer, we wouldn't have 6 cities doing 0%. And the next closest to us being 5%, while we do 82%, probably more. That's how we ended up with 65 housing projects in Ogden and next to none anywhere else. So yes, we're putting our foot down, but we're not stopping in our services. I want to read a few notes that I've been able to put together just today. Our public safety personnel, our community policing bureau, you could practically rename as our homeless bureau. We have 12 FTEs, that's full-time equivalent police officers working almost exclusively on homeless issues and the impacts that come with it. That we also have 9 EMTs in fire, 2 homeless medical advocates in fire, 3 homeless service advocates in police, for a total cost of $3.2 million annually. That's a lot of expenditure and a lot of impact. We are helping to house people every single day with our homeless service advocates. No one else in the state is doing that, but we are. We also have partners doing the same, and we're housing more people than anybody else, all at the expense of Ogden City taxpayers and Ogden City's people, and we're going to continue to do this. Additional costs, we run a justice court for homeless court services. We have parks that require cleanup. We have vandalism that needs to be responded to and repairs that need to be made. We have street crews doing cleanups. We have code enforcement doing cleanup related enforcements. We have extra security patrols in a contract to make sure that vandalism prevention doesn't happen. That costs money. We have a contract with a third-party service provider to do cleanups when we don't have the bandwidth and the personnel to do it. That's almost $200,000 a year. We're standing up a mobile care unit that's being built right now, and we hope to have active here in November. We have miscellaneous public safety equipment, supplies, and training for a total cost of over $500,000, you guys. We host Code Blue in our city because no one else will, and we continue to step up on a temporary basis, hoping someone else will step up, and they continue not to. We're building a permanent shade shelter at the Lantern House at their request to help make sure that people are protected when they're not inside the shelter. Our homeless advocates have made and recorded over 3,000 contacts, and we keep about 300 active clients at any one time. Police have addressed 2,506 transient-related cases that have required 2,060 follow-up visits from our police department. These things are not free, they're not cheap. Just the things I've mentioned just now are over $4 million in annual impact and costs for us. We get some relief from the state, but it's not enough to cover these expenses. And I didn't even include the cost for the repairs of the vandalism, administrative costs, the homeless court costs, incarceration. How much does that cost us and cost the county and taxpayers of the city? What does it cost to follow up on parole? How about the victims and the cost of the victims and the cost of businesses from all of these issues? How about the restitution that never gets returned to the people that are the victims? These are the facts. These are the actual receipts. Yet we have people in our city that want to drive a wedge, that want to accuse us of being something that we're not, while completely ignoring the facts. This is what Ogden does. This is what Ogden will continue to do. But Ogden will demand that others do their part as well. At least I will. And I respect and appreciate when you have. And I want to apologize to the council for something. 3 of you have people coming after you to get to me right now. You deserve better than that. You've been critical thinkers. You've been open-minded. You've made sound, responsible decisions for a number of years based on actual information and facts, not based on rhetoric. You've done the right things for the right reasons. Have we been perfect? Of course not. That's just the reality of governance. But one of the other things that we talked about in our session today with the Circles USA group is that cities across the country are suffering because of the rhetoric. This city deserves better. And I hope that the people of Ogden recognize that rhetoric is not leadership, that leadership is hard, that public administration is hard, and that it requires thoughtful, careful consideration and decision-making. And in so doing, we are representing and standing up for the people that elected us, especially when they're not here to speak to us, when we are connected enough to recognize that people are not here to speak for themselves and we must speak for them. That's actually us speaking and standing up and serving people, our people, especially the people that can't be here to represent themselves. That's enough for tonight. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to share that information. It's just a snapshot into the things that we do as a city that we never get credit for. And I think that it's important that people recognize the contributions of our staff, made possible by the council, made possible by this administration and our leadership, to help serve people and help lift them out of poverty. That conference came to Ogden for a reason, you guys. It came to Ogden because we're doing a lot of things right. And I just want you guys to know that even though that's not always what you read or what you hear in social media, that is the reality and that is the truth of the work that we do here. And I thank you for that, and I believe that we as a community are blessed for that. Thank you.
Thanks, Mayor. I dare any council member after again.
Follow that.
Yeah. Comments from the council members? Mayor, I just thank you. I appreciate those comments. I had the opportunity, and I shared this with you in an email, but I had the opportunity to host a mobile tour coming up here with people from all over the country coming to Ogden, and it was really, really fun to have them. And I don't get to experience this as much as maybe our CED team does, but it was fun to have them ask the questions about how are you doing this? How are you making this happen? How is all of this happening? Wonder Block, and I'm explaining to them that it was out on the limb, kind of a joint venture that Ogden never had done before, and a public-private partnership. And they were asking questions about what are you going to see, and how are we going to rebuild the museum, and so that we're going to tell the stories. They were able to go through the Browning firearms area, and they were able to see the cars, and they understood what the trains did. And it was just really, really fun to see them ask questions about an old city and how we were doing it. And all I kept saying is that we think outside the box. We try different things. We realize that we need to keep our historic nature as far as what we are, our historic being, with the Union Station being one side. We were showing them the Forest Service building and talking about the architect from there and trying to have them understand why we want to keep those historic buildings. And it was just, I want to thank you for your staff to take on some time to have these guys come up here. We toured the Marshall White Center, and they thought that was the most amazing building. And I can't remember. Was it Lalani? Is that right? I can't remember the woman that helped give the tour, but was the granddaughter of Marshall White. And they were like, no way, this is like, they couldn't believe that somebody wanted to come here and stay here and be part of this. And it was just really fun. In fact, the next day, Mayor, I ran into a couple of those people, and they had been on several mobile tours, and they said this was one of the best that they've ever been on. And I know we talk about the secret sauce of Utah, and we get to talk about that, but I really believe in it. I believe that we're doing the right thing, and that you're right. Sometimes some of the things and the efforts that we do are hard, and we try really hard to make a better Ogden for everyone. And it was fun to see people's eyes light up and see that other people are seeing it as well. So. Thank you. And thank you, David, and your staff. And please, if you could tell, Ginger and Lalani, thank you as well for doing that. But they even gave gift bags, you guys. They even gave swag. I mean, they were like, no way, this is great, Ogden swag. So thank you. They thought they were pretty special that day. So thank you. Any other comments?
Motion to adjourn.
All right.
Sorry. Chair, can I make one clarifying comment before you adjourn?
Yeah.
I said that the three of you are under attack. I want to make it clear. I'm not insinuating that Heath is personally attacking you, but I do believe that there are forces amongst us and organizations in this city operating under the direction and the guise of the Utah Democratic Party to attack us, attack our character through half-truths, to make it appear as though we are not responsible decision makers or governors or government leaders. That is not the case, but there are people in this city doing that, and it is driving a wedge, and it's creating cracks between us and in our city, and people fall through those very cracks. That is not something I'm willing to tolerate. I am not going to govern toward rhetoric and capitulate to pressures, especially when they are based on half-truths. And that is not aimed at Heath. It's aimed at others who are purposely driving wedges in our city.
Thank you.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Vice Chair Heyer, second by
me.
Councilmember Blair. This is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
No one opposed? All right. Thank you.